Should I start training clients online? Can't you make more money training clients online than you can in person? And isn't it easier to train clients online than in person? These are all very common and good questions that I get asked all the time from my 30-something trainers at Selfmade, as well as questions that I receive online via Instagram and Facebook and other social media sources. So I wanted to clear some of these up for you guys because it is an often debated topic whether or not you should be training online, in person, or a mix of both. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer these questions. Starting off with, should I start training on clients online? Now, there are some things to consider when determining whether or not you should be training clients online. It's not really just a matter of can you make more doing it or is it an easier job, but like many things in life, what you enjoy doing is gonna play a big role into your success. I use the extrovert and introvert topics for this debate, and that's because depending on the type of person you are, may determine how well you do at each job. Let's take an introvert, for example. Yes, they can train in person, but you have to keep in mind that introverts have a little bit more challenging of a time interacting with people and absorbing their energy in real life. If I had to pick, I would say, an introvert may do better online. Now, that's not to say that any introvert should be training online only. It's just to say that it may come a little bit more naturally to them. An extrovert, on the other hand, may find themselves excelling a lot more if they're having face-to-face interactions with people. But that's also not to say that an extrovert should be doing in-person training only. In fact, I like to take into consideration a hybrid trainer, meaning you do in-person and online. And to be quite honest, that's what most trainers do nowadays anyways. Most trainers are either training at a gym, training out of their garage, but also taking clients online. And that's because with social media, it's very easy to market yourself as an online trainer. So you can get clients from other states or even other countries. We've trained clients from Japan, Germany, Ireland, many other countries have trained with us via social media and online training. I just like to use your personality type to kind of determine which one should be a little bit more of your focus. One thing I like to recommend is that everybody, be it introvert, extrovert, or maybe you enjoy working from a computer more than you enjoy working with people in person, I still recommend that everybody gets some in-person training experience before they go online, at least fully that is. And that's because learning to master training and the communication, the accountability that comes along with it in an in-person setting is not an easy task, but it's gonna be a little bit more natural to learn. And the reason I say that is because when you're training somebody, let's say you're training somebody for 3 sessions a week, you guys have an appointment to each other. You're essentially held accountable to each other. So whether or not you communicate with that client outside of your training sessions, you're gonna be seeing them 3 times a week. This means that the communication between you guys is just naturally gonna be frequent, and you're naturally gonna have time to check in with them during those meetings. Whereas when you're training online, you may not have anything in place that's kind of keeping you on track with holding your clients accountable. So you can go a week, 2 weeks, even 4 weeks without communicating with your client. And there's a good chance that if you do that, you're gonna fall off, or they're gonna fall off, or it's just not gonna work, and it's gonna turn into a quick turnover rate. There are good skills that you learn from in-person training that can translate into online training and not necessarily make it easier, but give you a better idea of how to go about doing that so that the transition from in-person to online is smooth. Now, I consider myself mostly extroverted, but I'm also a hybrid trainer, meaning I primarily train in person. That's where my main focus is, but I can still take a few clients online. That way, if somebody lives out of state, or if I see an opportunity to train somebody who maybe can't afford to train with me in person, I can still sell them online training and have them as a client online. But you won't see me training like 30 to 40 online clients at a time, and that's because naturally, I'm just not gonna do well sitting on a computer for days on end doing people's programs. I like doing that, but I also get restless. I like to be in front of people. I like to be having face-to-face interactions, so therefore, I need a good amount of in-person training. So I would say, the first thing you should do is really determine what's gonna suit you best. Are you gonna enjoy sitting behind a computer and kind of keeping your distance while still being involved with people and helping them change their lives? Or are you gonna kind of thrive off the in-person energy that you receive when you're training clients in person? And again, you can have a little bit of both. So you can be a hybrid trainer, focusing on one more so than the other, but also doing the other to supplement and still help people whether they're close or far. That's kind of my answer for whether you should focus on online training or in-person training. It's not about the money. It's not about what's easier. It's more so about what's gonna suit you best. Now, taking a step back to the money, can you make more as an online trainer than you can in person? Figuratively and on paper, yes, you can. You do have the potential to make more online than you do in person, and that is because you can take more online clients. When you're training people in person, it requires an hour of your time for each session that you train, meaning you can maybe train 8 or 9 a day, but you can only do that for 4 or 5 days a week before you burn out. And then once you're there, you're kind of capped. Now, there are ways to optimize your schedule, such as small group training, getting people to share sessions, therefore you can make a little bit more income. But if you're just taking it, dollar for dollar, yes, the potential to make more money as an online coach is greater. But keep in mind that if it's something that's naturally challenging for you or that you don't enjoy, you may not be making more money as an online coach. You may be making less because you're gonna excel better at the in-person training. Short answer, yes, you can make more as an online coach, but the truthful answer is that you're gonna make more. You're gonna be more successful doing whatever you're happiest doing. So if you're an extrovert, if you thrive off people's energy like me, you're probably going to make more as an in-person trainer than you will as an online trainer, regardless of what the potential for each is. That potential still has to be achieved by you and your actions. And then is it easier? I personally don't think it's any easier for reasons being, like I said about the accountability thing, it's easier to hold people accountable in person. It's easier to provide them with good value in person because you're there sharing energy with them. You're making the session enjoyable. A lot of that stuff is much harder to do from afar. Not to mention, you may have a client that says that they can do certain workouts and you're programming them these workouts online, but they're doing them completely wrong and they're not really seeing the results that they should be seeing. So as far as actual producing technical results, it's much easier to do in person as well because you can make sure that they're doing the workouts as effectively as possible and that they're getting the most efficient use out of their time. Now, some things to take into consideration when comparing online to in-person. I already went over the extrovert and introvert. That's gonna be the number one consideration is, who are you? What do you enjoy? Like, what is your vision? What kind of energy do you bring to the table? Where do you thrive? Do you thrive at home or in an office setting, or do you thrive working with people? That's gonna be number one because that is ultimately gonna determine your success. If you're enjoying what you're doing and it comes somewhat naturally, you're in your element, you're gonna do so much better. So focus on that before anything else. Try not to look too much into the potential to make more money or looking into which one's easier. Focus on which one you think personally you're gonna do better at as a coach. Another thing to take into consideration is while you can have more customers online, that can be looked as a downside too. When I'm training in person, I'll have at most 10 in-person clients, and that's enough to pay the bills and keep me happy. It's enough to keep my schedule pretty full without burning me out, but it's 10 relationships I have to create and maintain. When you're training people online, you're gonna charge a little bit less, so therefore you're gonna have to have more clients. I use the number 30 to 40 because if you wanna be a successful online trainer and make good income, at least enough to support a household, you're gonna have to have about 30 to 40 online clients. That means that you're gonna have to keep track of that many more people and you're gonna have to maintain relationships with that many people. So that in itself is going to present some challenges. Having more clients and keeping less track of them also means that you're going to have a greater turnover rate, meaning more people are going to be coming and more people are going to be going. In my experiences, I've had clients in person that will stay with me for 3 years, even longer sometimes. And honestly, most of them do. When they come to me and they truly want to change their lives, I provide them a great quality value and they stay with me for a lot longer. Online training isn't quite the same because it is harder to get people results and it is harder to maintain communications with them and hold them accountable. So therefore, you're letting go of clients and bringing new ones on more frequently. That means you're going to be doing a lot more onboarding and you're basically going to be creating the relationship a lot more. It may start to feel like Groundhog's Day, depending on how good of a coach you are. And all of these things are things that you can improve with time, but it's just something to take into consideration when you're highlighting online training in your head and kind of comparing it to in-person training. And then again, I just want to emphasize that it is going to be harder to actually train the clients online. And this can be a personality trait that you take into consideration with yourself. How good are you with your words? How good are you with your written communication? Because part of how successful your clients are going to do depends on the verbiage that you use with them. Can you intellectually send them workout notes and ensure that they're going to understand it properly and that it's going to be easy for them to read and do the exercises? There's also going to be a lot of excess work you're doing online. So you're going to do the programming, but if you want to create videos for them, you're going to have to create good demonstration videos for them. You're going to have a good software that you deliver the workouts with. There's a lot of things that go into it, guys. So that's the whole point of this video, is to really give you a more in-depth comparison of in-person and online training, and to kind of set the misconception that online training is easier and you get paid more aside. Now, again, the potential is there. You can get some pretty great systems as an online coach, but it doesn't come easy and it doesn't come fast. It's got to be something that you're very passionate about. And I don't mean passionate about working less and making more. I'm saying you got to be passionate about taking on that challenge of creating a relationship and building that relationship and creating results for people online. You got to be passionate about that, but with time it can turn into a very good system that supports your household. So this isn't to knock online training at all. This is to just give you a better idea of what to expect with each, because I see a lot of trainers come into the training field and they want to go to online instantly. They just have this idea of what it's going to be like, but it's not always like that. My wife and I run a good online training business, so if you want more information, feel free to reach out. But these are just the experiences that we've learned along the way and something that I think you guys could find very helpful.